Once upon a time, in a small secluded village on the banks of a wide dark river, there lived a woman named Lila. She was beautiful, kind, and loved by her people. Lila was the heart of the village, always helping others, singing songs by the fire and caring for her neighbors' children as if they were her own. One fateful night, her life changed forever. A fierce storm rolled in, lightning flashing and thunder crashing over the village. That night, Lila gave birth to a son whom she named Chijoke. But as soon as he was born, whispers started. Villagers noticed strange things happening around Chijoke. The crops in the fields began to wither as if touched by an unseen blight. Animals that were once healthy grew thin and sickly. And on top of it all, the river, the village's life source, providing them with fish and water, began to dry up. People talked among themselves, sharing worried glances and speaking in hushed tones. "He's cursed," they whispered. "The child is cursed." The village elders, who held sway over the people's beliefs, insisted that Chijoke was marked by the gods, destined to bring doom. They whispered that his cries were unnatural and that his gaze, though soft and innocent, held an ancient darkness. Fearful, the villagers begged Lila to abandon the child, but she refused, holding her son close to her heart. Days turned into weeks and strange occurrences plagued the village. Crops withered, livestock fell ill, and the river's fish grew scarce. Eventually, driven by fear and superstition, the elders ordered the child to be cast into the river in hopes that it would appease the gods and cleanse their home of the curse. The villagers gathered on the riverbank one misty dawn. Lila, her eyes hollow with sorrow, pleaded for mercy, but her words fell on deaf ears. With trembling hands, she handed her baby to the elder, who performed a ritual and cast Chijoke into the swift, deep waters. As the baby sank, the river grew eerily still. A thick mist rolled in, covering the water like a shroud. Days passed, and the villagers noticed that things had not improved. In fact, they seemed to be worsening. The crops remained barren, the animals grew weaker, and the sky was a dull, oppressive gray. Even the river's flow seemed to slow, as if the water itself were grieving. One night, a young girl in the village claimed she had seen a figure standing by the river's edge. "It was a child," she whispered, "with eyes like embers and skin that shimmered like the night." The elders scoffed, dismissing it as a child's tale. But each night, more and more villagers began to report strange sightings. A small figure drifting across the river, or the sound of a child's laughter echoing from the reeds. And always these sightings were followed by an unnatural quiet that blanketed the village. On the seventh night after Nawaji's sacrifice, the villagers awoke to find the river had completely dried up. In its place was a shallow bed of cracked earth, and at its center lay a pool, deep and dark as if it led to the underworld itself. As the villagers approached, a child's voice drifted up from the depths, soft but filled with sorrow. "You cast me away," it whispered, echoing through the silence. "I was innocent, and yet you condemned me." The villagers recoiled, fear in their hearts. The voice continued, filled with a timeless rage. "Now you shall know what it is to be abandoned." One by one, strange misfortunes befell the villagers. Food turned to ash in their mouths, and sickness spread like wildfire. The village fell into despair, realizing that the curse had not left them but grown deeper. In their desperation, they turned to Lila, begging her to forgive them and to call back her son's spirit. With a heavy heart, Lila returned to the riverbed. She knelt by the dark pool, her voice breaking as she whispered to her lost child, "Chijoke, my beloved, forgive them. Come back to me." The pool began to shimmer, and slowly the waters returned to the riverbed. The current flowed once more, calm and steady, but no sign of the child appeared. The village recovered over time, but the elders decreed that every year, on the night of the seventh moon, they would hold a vigil by the river, honoring the spirit of the forsaken child. They never again spoke of curses, but instead told tales of Chijoke, a child whose forgiveness had spared them a fate worse than death. And some say that on certain nights you can still hear the laughter of a child by the river's edge. A gentle reminder that even in the darkest waters, forgiveness can rise like the river's own current. And so, the villagers learned a lesson that they passed down through the generations. The greatest curse is a broken heart, but even the darkest waters can be healed by forgiveness. Thank you for joining me for this tale. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more legends filled with mystery and wisdom, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Every like and subscription helps us keep sharing these ancient stories. Until next time.